Hi, so in this video I'm going to show you how to install SFTP using Cygwin on a Windows 2012 server machine. And in my previous video I actually used another third-party company that does an installer for OpenSSH, and it's called SSH. But Cygwin actually is more standard. It's from Red Hat, so it probably has more support and is more up to date. So this is my updated video of how to install SFTP on a Windows server machine. So let me get to it here. I go to the cygwin.com website here, and if I scroll down, I am gonna choose the 64-bit setup. And when it finishes downloading, I'm gonna launch the setup executable here, and it's going to prompt me to install from the internet or download without installing. I'm going to select download without installing because I've had issues actually downloading all the files completely before it actually installs. So I'm just going to choose download without installing and download all the files first. So that's the download folder I'm going to put it in, and I'm going to do a direct connection. I'm going to choose one of the mirrors that is actually close to me. And now it launches a window where I can choose the packages I want to install. So here I'm going to choose the OpenSSH, but first I have to click on this view button to expand the view of all the packages available to me. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to the O's here and choose OpenSSH. So here's OpenBox, OpenLDAP, and here's OpenSSH. Make sure to choose those. And just for the heck of it, I'm also going to choose OpenSSL along with it. But when you click on skip, it'll toggle to the version number of the package. So that's when you know it's been chosen. So I'm going to click next here after choosing the packages. And I'm going to click next. It actually selects all the dependent packages that are required after I've chosen the packages that I chose. So I'm going to click next. And it's going to start downloading the packages into that download folder I chose. So after this is done, I'm going to go back into the setup and I'm going to say install locally. Hopefully this completes without any cutting off of certain packages that couldn't be downloaded. But I find when I do the direct download, sometimes there's long pauses. So it's good to download all the files first and then go back and install it later. So let me pause here while it's downloading. Okay, so it's almost done here. It's at 90% now, and it actually took about maybe three to 5 minutes to download all of it. So this actually went pretty smoothly depending on which mirror I chose. Just a little bit more and it should be done. Okay, so it finished downloading here, and I'm just going to click finish. Now I'm going to go to my download folder, or since I'm here, I'm just going to click again for the setup program, launch it. And now instead of saying download without installing, I'm going to say install from a local directory. And that is the directory I want to install it in. And this is where I actually downloaded my packages before when I first ran this setup. And it looks like it's installing here. And once again, I have to choose the packages, even though I downloaded them already. So I'm going to choose OpenSSH here and OpenSSL. And I'm going to click next, next again, and wait for it to install. Now after this is done installing, I will have to configure it, and I have to configure it such that the configuration will be a Windows service that I'm running, and that when I reboot the computer, the Windows service will auto start. So that's what I'll be configuring after this successfully installs. And it looks like it's progressing rather quickly. 80%, nearing 90% here. And you can see it already create the Cygwin folder here. And this Cygwin is Unix on Windows. So it basically allows you to run a Unix shell on a Windows server. And the OpenSSH will actually be running within the Cygwin packages. And it's your standard Unix layout with the bin directory and the etc and the home directories here. And I'll show you how to configure a user also along with this. My other videos have actually how to lock down these Cygwin folders when you're doing SFTP, and I'll show you what that means later on after this is done installing. But I do have it covered in my other videos, and I won't necessarily go through the same thing in this video. Okay, so the file's finished installing, and it's just prompting me whether I want the icons in the start menu, and I'm going to click finish. And if I move this over, it has the Cygwin terminal. So if I double click on this, you'll notice it brings up a sort of Unix looking prompt. And now here's where I'm going to set up the SSH. So the first thing I'm going to do is export the terminal. Teletype. And I am going to give permissions, read-write permissions, for the etc group here, along with read-write permissions for the password file. And this is for the administrator. And now I'm going to do the ssh-host-config. Now, if I didn't install the SSH package here, when I hit enter, it'll give me errors that it can't actually find this. But since I've installed it, when I hit enter, it'll ask me a series of questions. And for the most part, I'm going to say yes to all of these. And here's an important one. Do I want to install it as a service? So I'm going to say yes. And here I'm just going to say SSH. And it says, do you want to use a different name? I'm going to say no here because I do want it to be that name. And I don't want to create another user account. Proceed anyway, yes. So that's it. That is now configured. And now I have to create a user. So if I go into, bring up my DOS prompt here, I'm gonna show you that SFTP is not running, so you'll see there isn't a port 22, which is what SFTP runs on by default. So I'm gonna do net start here. Whoops, net start. And I named it, if you remember, sshd. And you'll notice now the service is starting. If I go to the services window, services.msc, you'll notice there's going to be a Cygwin SSHD, and this is SFTP. It's actually the secure shell running here, and you'll see now it's started, and it's going to start automatically because I set it to start automatically. And if I do netstat here, you'll see there's a port 22 running now. Now I still have to create users, so I'm going to show you how to create a user for the SFTP in order for me to log in. So I'm going to go to Control Panel, I'm going to go to Administrative Tools, and remember I'm using a Windows Server 2012 here, and I'm going to go to Computer Management, and I'm going to create my local users. So I have some FTP users. I'm going to create a new user here called SFTP user 01. Copy the name, and just a standard password here. Create. Now that account is created, and you'll see I have an SFTP user. So now I'm ready to log in, but not quite, because I haven't actually set up the password file. But I'm going to do it for the heck of it to show you what happens when I skip that step. So I'm going to go, and my username's this, type in my password, and type in my port. And you see it actually worked, but I won't be able to log in, but I actually connected, which is a good sign because this shows that the SFTP is running on port 22, and so the Windows service is up. And you'll see here the authentication failed, which is what I expected. So why is that? If I go back to my Cygwin folder here, what I have to do is in the etc directory, there's a password file here. And if I open this with alright, I actually want to install Notepad++ here, so give me just 1 second. Okay, so I just installed Notepad++, and I'm going to drag this password file from this directory here into here, and you'll see it's a bunch of users. So the user I created was SFTP user 01. It's not here. So the way I put this in here is I go to my Cygwin window, and remember after I did the install, it prompted me to put an icon on the desktop, so that's what this is here. So this is the Cygwin terminal, and normally you type in the command, and you're basically overwriting the users here. I mean overwriting the password file here with all the local users. So you'll notice after I typed in this command and I refresh this file, it's in here. So that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is actually this command, local, and I'm just gonna redirect this output to a file that's in the administrators directory. So if I hit enter here, it created that file of the list of users in this home directory right here. And so the end of lines is all wrapping here. So let me open it up in Notepad++. And you notice this is my users file. So normally what I do is I choose my user and I copy it into this password file here. But it's already here because I ran that command before. So there's multiple ways of doing it. If you don't want to overwrite it each time, or if there are certain users you want to include and don't want to include, you might want to do this manually. And you notice the other information in here is the home directory. So there's actually no home directory created yet for this user. So when I choose to log in, and now I can actually log in now because the password file does contain that user. So if I go back to my Etsy folder here under Cygwin 64, in this file, which is the file you see here, this user now does exist, and I actually hit save. When I log in now and I do the quick connect, you'll see I'm logged in. Now you'll see where I'm logged in. I'm actually logged in to the root directory here of this Cygwin. So my other videos show you how to lock this down. But one thing I have to create here is a home directory for this user. So let me go ahead and do that and re-log in. And by default, the convention is to use the username as the folder. So when you log in as that user, it goes into that user's folder. So to verify that, I'm going to put a quick text file in here that says, here I am, user 01. And I'm going to do another connection, or actually let me close this out, open another one. And I'm going to log in again as that user. So that was just a shortcut of the credentials that I put in. So that's the server, SFTP user 01, and then my password, and port 22. I'm going to hit quick connect, and you'll notice again I'm prompted. So you'll see now I actually went into this folder because on the file system I actually created that user's folder. And you'll notice I am in that folder because that was the file I created. But once again, you'll see, yeah, by default I actually go into my user folder, but I could still navigate around into other people's stuff, and worse, I can navigate into this root directory of where all my binaries are. So in my other video, I actually show you how to lock that down. So make sure to watch that video, and I'll put a link, an annotation or a link on the video here to show you how to do that. In any way, that concludes what I wanted to show you. So in summary, let me just rehash what I mentioned before. Go to the Cygwin, click on the installation, make sure to choose the OpenSSH packages. And then after you're done, you're going to go into one of these terminals and type in what I typed before to set up the Windows service. And that actually sets up this Cygwin SSH. This is the SFTP daemon running here, or really the secure shell. So this will actually activate your SFTP. And after you have that set up, you create users. Normally what you do is you create a local user on the Windows box that you're using. In my case, I created this user. Add that user to the password file using this make password command, and you could verify it in the Etsy folder when it's under the password here. So that's how you do it, and I hope this helped. Thank you for watching.